My Little Pony. Love it or hate it, there is no denying it made quite a splash upon the global zeitgeist. Its explosion in popularity could arguably be attributed solely to the revamped incarnation of the series, My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic, back in 2010. Since then, it spawned several TV seasons, a few movies, some video games, and, wouldn't you believe it, a fighting game. If it wasn't already obvious, the appeal of the series reached a much wider audience than initially intended. The initial intended audience being young girls in roughly the elementary to middle school ages. It was a phenomenon to say the least. And upon release of the previously mentioned 2010 incarnation, the fandom would storm the internet and develop fan sites to keep up to date with the series. One of the most popular websites being Equestria Daily, a fan site where not only were fans able to receive up-to-date information on the series, but publish their own creations and share them with the rest of the community. Fans were able to share art, OCs and such, music, videos, fanfiction, and of course video games. For the most part, the website was fairly tame. That is until an anonymous user uploaded a particular fan game onto the website, simply titled Luna Game. This seemingly harmless title would eventually go down in infamy among the MLP community. On April 3rd, 2011, Luna Game would be uploaded to Equestria Daily anonymously and garner quite a bit of traction. It was a simple, albeit crude platformer that featured the fan-favorite character of Luna. The only real objective, get Luna to the end of the level. Like I said, it was pretty simple. As the player progressed through the game, it would suddenly come to a complete halt. The game would abruptly freeze, and the player was met with a spooky image of Pinkie Pie, one of the other characters in My Little Pony. The player was forced to stare at the screamer as the computer remained frozen. That is until it eventually closed. However, the game wasn't done playing with the player. Once it closed, the game began to spawn spooky images of Pinkie Pie and text files that read, "The end is nay," all over the player's desktop. Looking back at it today, this isn't really all that terrifying. But to early 2010 internet users, this game was demented and horrifying. So much so that the backlash was immense and rampant on the website in which the game was published, Equestria Daily. Rumors and legends about the game soon ravaged the website and forums discussing the game, saying it was malware that corrupted a user's computer. Others claim that the game was actually from the dark web. Some even claim that the game was haunted, a curse sent out to the masses by its anonymous creator. With such immense backlash, the admins were quick to respond. They took down the game and issued an immediate ban on user downloadable content. In other words, games like Luna Game or content that required to be downloaded was no longer allowed on the website. The founder of the website published a public post where he said, "I'm done with Yo-Yo Games. I thought they screened their stuff, but I guess not. Yo-Yo Games and any other plugins requiring game sites are now banned, so don't send them. I apologize to everyone who was exposed to the Luna." The person that made it says he sent it to someone else to get some feedback, and he/she got that back. Regardless of how fast Equestria Daily was able to respond to the backlash, the damage had already been done, and Luna Game had become embedded into early creepypasta culture, and became an infamous legend of sorts. The tale of the anonymously uploaded My Little Pony game that was allegedly cursed or created only to spread malware was captivating, and the internet took to it like a moth to a flame. As the internet flocked to the mystery, they would find that the biggest mystery left behind by the mysterious upload would be who developed the game, and that was a mystery that would remain unsolved to this very day. For the better part of a decade, no one could find any information as to who uploaded/developed the Luna game, and it seemed that no answers as to the reason the game was developed, or as to who developed it, would ever come. The mystery and case behind Luna Game would eventually go dormant, until September 2021 that is. On September 25th, 2021, fellow YouTuber Izzy Yiz would upload her video, Virus or Deep Web Horror, the story of Luna Game. In the video, Izzy goes far more in depth into the background and mystery that is Luna Game. It's in her video that she stumbled upon some of the most important information in regards to this whole mystery. While still in the process of making her video, she found a Reddit post titled, "The History of Luna Game" from the original creator. Understanding that Reddit isn't exactly the most reliable source when it comes to the truth, Izzy was skeptical, but the post, as she read through it, would seemingly divulge information such as Easter eggs nobody had found yet, background behind the game's development, and even direct lines of code. Interestingly enough, Izzy discovered an email linked into the information, the original creator's email. She got in touch and seemingly was the first person ever to truly get an interview with the creator of Lunagame. In short, the creator of Lunagame took close to a decade to talk about Lunagame as a way to finally get closure of sorts in regards to the whole Lunagame project. Choosing to remain anonymous, the creator says that Lunagame never had any sort of viruses, nor anything seriously damaging. He would close out their little interview with, "I regret not making the games actually fun. People may have different views on this, but when I replayed them recently to make sure they work still, other than the creepy vibe and jump scares, nothing about them stood out too much to me. I might just be overly harsh on myself because I made them, but I really do wish I spent more time making a fun game first and adding the creepy vibe later. Also, I hate jump scares now, but that's a different story entirely." When you think of a ghost, what is the first image that conjures into your mind? Well, if you're like most people, you think of a floating, specter-like bedsheet, something akin to Coco, or the ghost that chases the Mystery Gang in Scooby-Doo. For decades, wearing a bedsheet over yourself with 2 holes cut out for eyes had been the easiest costume to make for any last-minute trick-or-treaters, and was definitely a great way to hide the fact that you were an alien trapped on planet Earth waiting to be rescued by your family. To this day, the easiest, albeit a tad ridiculous, DIY costume has become a procrastinator's go-to outfit for the holiday. However, many have asked where the idea to depict ghosts in white bedsheets came from. And the answer, of course, is quite straightforward, if not a little bit morbid. Centuries ago, during the Great Mortality, more commonly known as the Black Plague, the streets were littered with bodies of countless claimed by the horrid disease. Between 1346 to 1353, the bubonic plague claimed close to 200 million people, cementing itself as the most fatal pandemic recorded amongst the annals of human history. Large commercial cities were infected first, and in mass, which eventually spread to smaller neighboring towns and villages. As the bodies piled up, and with burial costs being as high as they were, the bodies of those who died would be laid on the streets of the cities, the people opting to cover and mourn the dead with a burial shroud, a sheet of sorts intended to preserve and protect the corpse, which also served as a way to cover a body from passing eyes or starved, potentially disease-ridden animals. Children would walk on by these corpses and carry on with their day playing. Eventually, these children spun tales, and death became associated with these haunting cloths. Down the line, performances on stage shows encountered a particular problem when it came to depicting ghosts to the audience. For the longest time, ghosts were portrayed simply wearing street clothes, or clothing that a character died in during a performance. In other plays, ghosts were depicted through the use of heavy armor. Both portrayals, of course, offered their own set of difficulties for the performance. When using street clothes to portray a ghost, the performance often struggled to portray that a ghost was some spectral entity, mainly because it just looked like any other character wearing a costume. In other words, the audience was often left unaware that a character was speaking to a soul long past. When it came to performers wearing suits of armor, the directors of the play often found that the suits were too clunky and distracted from the actual performance. The suits of armor were too loud and didn't exactly incite fear. So, a solution had been made. Although historians can't quite determine when burial shrouds were used to depict ghosts in plays, they had discovered that at some point in time, plays changed their depiction of ghosts from normal street clothes or heavy suits of armor to burial sheets. Most of the audience at the time understood the purpose of burial sheets. They understood they were used to cover up the dead. As such, the audience now understood that if a character was wearing these sheets, they were a ghost. Moreover, the burial sheets were far less distracting than a clanky suit of armor, and evoke a spiritual presence when on stage. Since then, the bedsheet ghost, or sheet ghost rather, had become the norm, and eventually, the depiction of ghosts as a floating bedsheet became engraved into culture. And the rest is history.